just to put you on the spot, can you hear me, everybody? You remember in the 350 meeting we had, just last meeting, we were talking about acknowledging the land that we inhabit, you know, that northern Wisconsin is an Anishinaabe people land and northeast Wisconsin is the Oneida people's land. We're here on a Ho-Chunk land and, you know, so on and so on. That, could you speak to a little bit about how you think young people, and I mean all the students here, because we were all white people in that room talking about decolonizing our mind, our culture, right? Could you speak a little bit more about that? Because I don't think we quite touched on that enough, but the whole environmental crisis comes down on first on the heads of, like, all the Enbridge pipelines run through Anishinaabe territory, the Lake Superior Chippewa Indian tribes, right? So could you just maybe 5 minutes on that?
Sure, I can't give you 5 minutes, but I can talk a little bit. I started seeing this trend of when I was in a room and someone was speaking, they would first recognize the land that we were on, the land that was stolen. And I loved that. I started really seeing this more often in the past 2 years, and I loved it. Every time that happened, I was like, yes, I want that. I want that recognition. I think it's really important. And I think it's important everywhere, and especially in Wisconsin. I think that we don't talk about that enough. I think we recognize, like, people say, like, oh, I'm from Stevens Point, this is where I'm from. But there's not a further recognition of, like, what is this land? Like, what actually is this land? Like, what was it? What is it now? And what is it going to be? We sort of have this singular, like, time spec, like, this is what it is now. And I think it's really important to look back and see what was this land, how could it, you know, how did it change, what is it now, what could it be? I think this also, it also makes sense in terms of, like, the planet. Like, what was the planet, what is it now, and what will it be? And we're not really recognizing that the planet used to be a lot healthier. We're not really recognizing that in 50 years the planet's gonna be, you know, brown, and like that image of like a perfect, beautiful planet and then one that's like covered in plastic and brown. And I see that like in my mind every day. I see like the plastic in the oceans and stuff. Like I imagine that and I see that that's where we're headed. But to recognize that this was once beautiful and this was once land inhabited by these people and they were doing this to it and they were respecting the land. I think that we can only respect ourselves as much as we can respect the people who were there before us and the people who will come after us. The 7 generations, of course. Daniel can speak more about that, I'm sure. But it's really important to recognize the land, and as soon as I started hearing people do that when I was, you know, out and about at places, I started to really hone into that, and I really think it's important everywhere. I heard it in Washington, D.C., I heard it in Chicago. I think it's really important.
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that, you know, all this is very small talk. You know, this climate change and the changing of our planet is already progressed way beyond anybody trying to help it. And I'm going to tell you something straight up, that the Earth is resilient and will be here for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years after we're gone. And if the human race fails, then something else will take its place. There's no big deal about it. You know, I would think the best thoughts that you could think about was about sustainability. What are we going to do next in the event of this happening? Because it's already happening. You know, you can't put the brake on. It's already going on. This is all done through human letting other humans control and brainwash us. It's called the silent warfare. Look it up. Look it up. Silent warfare. Check it out. And I just want you all to be healthy.